Other important area, temples. I don't know how many of you knows that in the Asian part of the world, a sunken temple is index of sickness. If you are sick, it shows with the sunken temple. So they don't want to have any defect in the temple, and they love to have a round face with the temple very, very filled, because that's where they express their healthiness and how healthy they are. So for temples, of course, the toxin is not effective. We are not blocking any muscle there. What we need to do is to fill the temple groove in different ways. We can use a deep technique against a superficial technique, or both combined. I will show you again the two techniques. It is very important to use a high G prime, especially if you go deep, because we need to fill a space which is underneath the temporalis fascia. And when we fill with a high G prime, we can tense the temporalis fascia and give the lifting effect also on the eyebrow, and give a very nice outcome on the temple. We can use the fat grafting, or we can do, of course, a surgery. And again, I will explain to you later. The temple is quite a safe area, because this is where we need to inject, where there is the temporalis fossa. And as you can see in the middle part, because usually this is the area of injection, you can see there are no veins or arteries. So it is very safe. You go down deep to the bone, and you should avoid any kind of vessels. In my career, I had in one case a patient that while I was injecting, she started complaining of severe pain. So I stopped immediately the injection. I injected a lot of hyaluronidase. The patient recovered, didn't have any complication from that. Maybe I hit a sensitive nerve and not a vessel. I didn't know. She didn't develop any bruise. She didn't develop any occlusion. But that was the only case that scared me a little bit. It was about 8-9 years ago. Since then, I treat the temples very often, and I don't have any kind of this problem. What is good in the temple treatment with the filler, especially if you do the deep technique, again, you, as I said, you put in tension the temporalis fascia, and you see immediately the lift of the eyebrow. If you do one side and you show the patient a difference, they immediately see that the eyebrow that has of the area that has been treated is a little bit lifted. This is very good for the patient. It's an immediate result, and patient will love it. So if we need to use a needle to go in the deep area, this is my technique. So I draw the line from the lateral part of the frontalis bone up to the edge of the eyebrow, and then I draw a line of the orbit. From this point, I move backwards at 45 degrees of more or less 1 centimeter, and then I move upwards another centimeter, and this and this big dot is where I usually inject the filler. This is a very safe area, as I said. You need to go inside, reach the bone at the base of the temporalis fossa, always aspirate, because again, it's a safe area, but you never know. You are blind in that moment. You don't know what you are injecting and where you're injecting. Aspirate. If there is no blood coming in the syringe, then you are safe to inject very slowly, and you will see immediately the result on the patient. The good thing about this technique is that the temporalis fossa is, again, is a concave area, and wherever you inject in a temporalis fossa, the filler will slide in its position in a very natural way. You need to inform the patient that after the treatment for about 24 hours, they might feel a little bit of tension when they talk, when they chew, they eat something, because the temporalis fascia is also connected to the TMJ. And if we put this in tension, this might reflect on this area. I always suggest the patient to eat something soft at night, like mashed potato, yogurt, or something like that. Don't eat anything crunchy, nuts, etc., because this might cause some discomfort for them. It's a very pain-free procedure, even if you go deeper in that level. Never, no patient ever complain with me about that. If we want to be more superficial, some patient you might assess them for a very superficial need of volume more than the deep one. This is my technique. So I used to enter at the top part of the zygomatic bone. And in this way, I can, with the cannula, inject in the superficial area. Again, why the cannula? Because this, as you can see, is a wider range of movement, and you can encounter some vessels while you're doing that. So with the cannula, which is blunt, is of course much more safe. This is also the technique that I use when I do a fat grafting, because it really gives me a very nice and smooth distribution of the fat. Here you can see the patient before and after. Of course, in the after picture, she has makeup, but as you can see, the temporal area is much more filled, and you see much better on the side view, on the three-quarter view. As you can see here, she had this groove. She looks like older. Again, apart from the makeup, the eyebrows are designed, whatever, but this part makes the patient looks much older, because if you think of this, you think of a skull, which is again a signature of the aging face.